Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a wonderful one out there, just hopping off out of work. And today we are listening to a little Arlo Guthrie. Of course, we've listened to The Massacre, and now we are listening to this track, the story of Reuben Clamzo and his strange daughter in the key of A. This is off of a live album, One Night, released 1978. We're listening to this because it was recommended and sponsored by Papa Greystoke. Papa, thank you so much for the recommendation. I appreciate that. Also known as Michael, so I appreciate that, the support and everything. So yeah, let's go ahead and dive on in. We got what seems to be, I would assume, another story track of sorts. This one's clocking in at about 17 minutes. So go ahead and grab a glass of whatever you're glassing on and sipping on. Grab a snack. Let's go ahead and listen to Mr. Guthrie sing his tale. Here we go.
Hey. Want to hear something?
Yeah. Hear what?
Hear what?
You know that Indians never ate clams?
What?
They didn't have linguine. And so what happened was that clams was allowed to grow unmolested in the coastal waters of America for millions of years. And They got big. And I ain't talking about clams in general. I'm talking about each clam. Right.
This is
How
set
could
up
you
for
have
like a
each one
punchline.
generally? I guess you could, but it wouldn't be like what I mean. I mean, each one was a couple of million years old or older. So imagine how big they could have got. Bigger than this whole room. And when they get that big, God gives them little feet so that they can walk around easier. And when they get feet, they get dangerous. I'm talking about real dangerous.
This is like a comedy set.
I ain't talking about just sitting there under the water waiting for you. I'm talking about coming after you. Imagine being on one of them boats, you know, coming over to discover America, like Columbus or something, standing there at night, on watch. Everybody else is drunk or asleep. And you're watching for America. And the boat's going up and down. And you don't like it anyhow. Because you don't know where this Columbus dude knows where he's going or what. And you got to stand there and watch for what? Only he knows. And he ain't watching. You hear the waves lapping against the side of the ship. The moon's going behind a cloud. You hear the pitter-patter of little footprints on deck. Is that you, kids? It ain't. My God. It's a humongous giant clam. Imagine them little feet coming on deck.
Imagine the little
Clam
feet.
twice the size of a ship. Feet first. You're standing there, shivering with fear. You grab one of these. This is a belaying pin. They used to have these stuck in holes all around the ship. Probably didn't know what this is for. You probably had an idea, but you're wrong. They used to have these stuck in the holes all along the sides of
I'm
the
enjoying
ship
this
everywhere.
story.
And you wouldn't know what this is for unless you was that guy that night. I mean, you grab this out the hole and you run on over there. Bam, bam, on them little feet. Back into the ocean and go hurt but not defeated. Humongous giant clam ready to strike again when the opportunity was better.
It's Clamzilla.
You know that not even the coastal villages was safe from them big clams? You know them big clams had an inland range of about 15 miles? Think of that. I mean, the early pioneers and the settlers, they built little houses all up and down the coast, you know, little inland stuff like that. And they didn't have houses like what we got now with bathrooms and stuff. They built little privies out back, and late at night, maybe a kid would have to go. And he'd go stomping out there in the moonlight. And all they'd hear for miles around would be one big...
Is there music to this? Or is it
One
just gonna be a
less kid
story?
for America. And one more smiling, smirking, full, humongous, giant clam.
Such an absurd story, but it's working. It's
So
working.
Americans built forts. You've seen them forts. You know, you have pictures of them forts with the wooden points all around. You probably thought them points was for Indians. But that's stupid, because Indians knew about doors. But clams didn't. So even if a clam knew about a door, so what? A clam couldn't fit in a door. I mean, he'd come stomping up to a fort at night, put them feet on them points, and jump back crying, tears coming out of him everywhere. But Americans couldn't live in forts forever. I mean, couldn't just build one big fort all around America. How would you go to the beach? So what they did was they formed groups of people. I mean, they had people all up and down the coast form these little alliances. Like up north, it was called the Clamshell Alliance. And farther down south, it's called the Catfish Alliance. They had these alliances all the way up and down the coast, defending themselves against these threatening monsters, these humongous giant clams.
It's an American tall
And they'd
tale.
go out there. If there was maybe 15 of them, they'd be singing songs in 15-part harmony. And when one part disappeared, that's where they knew the clam would be.
Okay, this is funny.
Which is why Americans only sing in 4-part harmony to this very day. That proved to be too dangerous. See, what they did was they'd be singing these songs called clam shanties. And they'd have these big spears called clampoons. And they'd be walking up and down the beach. And what the method they eventually devised where they'd have this guy, the most strongest, heavy-duty, true blue American, courageous type dude they could find. And they'd have him out there walking up and down the beach all by himself with 14 other chicken dudes hiding behind the sand dunes somewhere. He'd be singing the verses, they'd be singing the chorus. And clams would hear him. And clams hate music.
Naturally.
So clams would come out the water. And they'd come after this one guy. And all you'd see pretty soon was flying all over the sand, flying up and down the beach. Man, clam, clam, man, up and down the beach, going this way, that way, up the hills, and then water out the water, behind the trees, everywhere. Finally, the man would jump over a big sand dune, roll over the side. The clam would come over the dune, fall in the hole. 14 guys would come out there and stab the shit out of him with their clampoons.
Naturally with the clampoons, of
That's
course.
the way it was.
Of course.
That was one way to deal with them. The other way was to weld 2 clams together.
Right? Even he's laughing at his own joke. Someone's howling.
I don't believe it. I'm losing it. Hey, what can you do?
He's even losing a little bit of himself to the story. Even him. I'm just like, is there gonna be music in this?
Another night, shot to hell. Oh, what are you gonna do? Hey, this was serious back then. This was very serious. I mean, these songs now are just piddly folk songs, but back then these songs was controversial. These was radical, almost revolutionary songs, because times was different, and clams was a threat to America. That's right. So we want to sing this song tonight about the one last. I mean, this guy is one of these. See, what they did was, there was one man. He was one of these men. His name will always be remembered. His name was Reuben Clamzo. And he was one of the last great clam men there ever was. He stuck the last clam stab, the last clampoon, into the last clam that was ever seen on this continent. Knowing he'd be out of work in an hour. He did it anyway. So that you and me could go to the beach in relative safety. That's right. Made America safe. For the likes of you and me. And so we sing this song in his memory. He went into whaling like most of those guys did. And he got out of that when he died. Clams is much more dangerous than whales. Clams can run in the water, on the water, or on the ground. And they're so big sometimes that they could jump. And they can spread their kind of shells and kind of almost fly like one of those flying squirrels.
Just gliding. Just a gliding clam.
You could be standing there thinking you're perfectly safe, and all of a sudden, whop! It's true.
He's yelling off the side of his mic.
It's true. And so, this is the song of this guy by the name of Reuben Clamzo. And the song takes place right after he stabbed his clam. And the clam is going through his kind of death dance over in the side somewhere. And Reuben goes into, the song starts there and he goes into wailing and takes you through the next. I sing the part of the guy on the beach by himself. I go like this. Oh, poor old Reuben Clamzo. And you go, Clamzo, boys, Clamzo. That's the part of the 14 chicken dudes over on the side.
There you go.
Just Clamzo, boys, Clamzo.
I love the build-up into this.
That's what they used to sing. They'd be calling these clams out of the water by taunting them, making fun of them. Clamzo, boys, Clamzo. Clams would get real mad.
Got it. Upsetting the clams.
That's true. Okay, here we go. I want you to sing it in case you ever have an occasion to join such an alliance. Some of these alliances are still around.
The Clam Alliance.
Still defending America against things like them clams. And if you ever wants to join one, now you have some historic background.
True.
So you know where these guys are coming from. It's not just some 60s movement or something. I mean, these things go back a long time. That's right. So here we are. Clamzo, boys, Clamzo. It's the hardest thing you'll have to do all night. Clamzo, boys, Clamzo. Let's do it again. I'll sing my part and I'll sing your part so that you know that it's your part.
Here we go.
Oh, poor old Reuben Clamzo. Clamzo, boys, Clamzo. That's great. Now we go to the hard parts. Pay attention. I go like this. Oh, poor old Reuben Clamzo. And you go, Clamzo, me boys, Clamzo. Notice the distinction you're going to have to make now between the first and easy Clamzo, boys, Clamzo.
I love audience
and
participation.
And then the more complicated Clamzo, me boys, Clamzo.
They're confused already. This is killer live, though.
It's hard to sing folk songs. I mean, just walk into a place somewhere, lights shining on your microphone, all kinds of stuff around, plugged in, out, plugged, bam, sam, everything. But the one thing that's not there is the realness of what it must have been like to sing these songs 200 years ago today.
In front of clams.
I mean, being out there on the beach with the fear of the clam in your heart. That's how these songs were sung. And so we provide a little bit of atmosphere. So if you half closed your eyes, you could almost imagine yourself out there on the beach right now. Singing this song with fear in your heart, but calling that clam out. You chicken clam!
By the way, lost the lyrics, by the way. We're somewhere in here.
Stay serious. Folk songs is serious.
There you go.
That's what Pete Seeger told me. Arlo, I only want to tell you one thing. Folk songs are serious. I said, right. So here we go. Let's do it in C. Bring it up to C for clam.
C for clam.
Oh, oh, Reuben. Bring it
Too
down.
high.
Is that, what's that? B? Let's do it in B. B for, boy, that's a big clam. Let's do it in G.
It's a duck
For
call.
G. I hope that big clam don't see me.
I really love this whole setup. This
Let's
whole
do
routine.
it in F. For he sees me. Let's do it back in A. For A.
Sounds about right. Sounds about right. The setup is
A clam.
so long compared to the song.
Better get the song done quick. Clamzo boys, Clamzo, Clamzo me boys, Clamzo. Just keep doing that.
Quick rehearsal.
Story of Reuben Clamzo and his strange daughter in the key of A.
Here we go. Let it rip.
Oh, poor old Reuben Clamzo. Clamzo boys, Clamzo. Oh, poor old Reuben Clamzo.
Clamzo me boys, Clamzo.
Oh, Reuben was no sailor.
Clamzo boys, Clamzo.
So we shipped him on a whaler.
Clamzo me boys, Clamzo.
Because he was no beauty.
Clamzo boys, Clamzo.
He would not do his duty.
Clamzo me boys, Clamzo.
Because he was so dirty.
Clamzo boys, Clamzo.
We gave him 5.30.
Clamzo me boys, Clamzo.
Oh, Reuben Clamzo's daughter.
Clamzo boys, Clamzo.
She begged her dad for mercy.
Clamzo me boys, Clamzo.
She bring him wine and water.
Clamzo boys, Clamzo.
And a bit more than she oughta.
Clamzo me boys, Clamzo.
Well, he got his seaman's papers.
Clamzo boys, Clamzo.
He's
Catchy
a
tune.
terror to the whalers.
Clamzo me boys, Clamzo.
And he sails where the whalefish blow.
Clamzo boys, Clamzo.
As the hardest bastard on the go.
Clamzo me boys, Clamzo.
Oh, poor old Reuben Clamzo.
Clamzo boys, Clamzo.
Oh, poor old Reuben Clamzo.
Clamzo me boys,
That's absolutely hilarious. Okay, so that's where this ends, right? This is a. Hold on. Let me put you guys back up here. To me. Get back to me. This is 17 minutes and 30 seconds long. And the actual song, the actual clam shanty doesn't begin until like 16 minutes. This is basically a 2-minute song with a 15-minute conversation comedy routine leading up to it. And it works so incredibly well. I mean, we've listened to the Thanksgiving Massacre, and like that's the only thing I have in mind when I'm listening to Arlo Guthrie. So I should have expected something like this, which is definitely in that similar lane. But I guess because I'm expecting a song, and yes, we got it. But man, did we go through a routine to get to it. But can I just say that as far as I'm assuming, that is the charm. That whole routine, the whole comedic setup, a long setup as well, just to get to a 2-minute punchline is kind of the act. And this works so well in a live setting because this, you can hear that this is made to be heard and watched live, you know, to see him up there doing his thing, you know, interacting with the audience and just going on from there. And then when it does finally get to the clam shanty, to the song at the end, I mean, it sounds great. All those, you know, Now it's 4-man harmony instead of, the previous, what was it, 12 or 14 or whatever. But I love how really gorgeous those harmonies sound, especially that last a cappella buildup was really, really wonderful. Arlo sings really nicely in here as well. I mean, this, like the song itself, that portion is very well done. So I think that it's worth that buildup. And especially, like I said, because you can imagine watching this being performed and him up there on stage, which I thought was just absolutely brilliant. And it's funny. It's actually funny. It's not just like, okay, it's a 15-minute setup. Haha, we get it. No, he's actually really funny as it goes. Now, I am not going through every single one of these lyrics. I pulled it up here on screen so you guys could see it along with me. But we'll look at a little bit of it. I love how the absurdity of the story, right? So before we even dive into it, the absurdity of this long title, The Story of Reuben Clamzo and His Strange Daughter in the Key of A. It's a long, over-encumbering kind of title. And you know you're going to get a story. But before we get there to whatever the story about Reuben Clamzo is, you got a long way to go about learning the history of these clams in America. And the way that he takes us from the very beginning, setting foot into America and encountering those clams, building those forts in which you think those giant spikes that you see jutting out of the forts were for, the natives? Nope. That was for the clams. I think that that's absolutely brilliant the way he performs this. And like I said, as it goes, you're always looking forward to how much further is he going to go with this story. When do we get to the point where, of course, it turns from story into song? And where is the marriage and transition between the two? Then, of course, it mentions the alliances and, they hate music. The clams apparently hate music. And then it goes from there. So let's go ahead and dive into the lyrics a little bit. Poor Reuben Clamzo. Oh, poor old Reuben Clamzo. He was no sailor, so they shipped him on a whaler. Because he was no beauty. This is after, by the way, he defeats that last clam. So it kind of seems that he has nothing to do now. As it says, he became a whaler until the day he died, which he retired from being a whaler. Because he was no beauty, he would not do his duty. He was so dirty, or because he was so dirty, we gave him 5 and 30. I won't lie, I don't know what a lot of this means. I don't know what 5 and 30 means. Oh, Reuben Clamzo's daughter, she begged her dad for mercy. She bring him wine and water and a bit more than she oughta. Well, he got his seaman's papers, he's a terror to the whalers, and he sails where the whalefish blow as the hardest bastard on the go. Oh, poor Reuben Clamzo. I have no idea what's happening here in the story. Is there anything down here? No. I don't know what exactly is going on in his post-clamming life, in his not quite retirement, but what's happening in his whaling life. If you don't mind, I'm just going to do a quick Google search to see if I can find an interpretation, a meaning, something like that. I'm just doing a quick Google search. I'm on Reddit right now. No, someone's just looking for a physical album. The story of Reuben Clamzo. Nope, that's just taking me back to Spotify. So actually, I'm a little bit lost on this one. And there's actually not a ton of information. Obviously, there's a lot of links to the song itself, but nothing specific on the song. Maybe if I pull up a YouTube video, someone in the comments may have maybe some sort of thoughts. Okay, well, the comments are turned off on there, so that's not going to help. Let me try one more place, see if this has anything. Give it a pause. So the comments are turned off there as well. Oh my God. They're not making it easy. I'm just trying to find a little something. Let me try one more thing. One last measure. For good measure. I'll bring you guys up on the screen. Also, there's a live performance here as well. Let's see. Let's go ahead and... We're not going to watch it, but you do have a live performance here.
It's kind of like down, like that. See, but clam stabbing back then.
That's hilarious. I've always loved Arlo. Song starts around 1424. The joy of Arlo's chats. Great to hear this song again. No one said anything specifically here, huh? So I'm a little out the loop. But as out of the loop as I am, I enjoyed that. That was a fun listen. That was a great routine. And I wasn't expecting like I was obviously expecting music, but and yes, we got it. But I didn't expect that routine coming into it. But it was definitely a great laugh. So thank you so much for once again the suggestion, the sponsorship on that, Papa Gray. Thank you so much for that. Let me know what you guys thought of it in the comments down below. Hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, your afternoon, your morning. I don't know why I always start off in that order. Have a great one, guys. I'll see you later. Bye.